Okay, so the general feeling of making a multiplayer game is have you ever felt like beating yourself on your desk, like just like slamming your face onto your desk?
What is it like to make an online multiplayer game? Should you make one? What should you expect going into it? And how can you grow a community even as a small developer? I'd say we ask somebody who's qualified to talk about this, because I'm clearly not.
Hello, who are you?
Hello.
Do you like water?
I do like water.
You upload also. Yeah, I think like drink enough water, guys.
Yeah, especially in summer, you should drink a lot of water.
Now ever since that, it's a huge meme in my Discord is me drinking water. My name is Welton King. I am a 20-year-old game developer. I have published 3 games on Steam. I've published Battle Shapes, which is a top-down retro arcade shooter. I have published One Synth, which is a text-based game editor. And then the one I'm working on currently right now is Under Pressure, which is a 4v4 capture the flag esport. Oh, and I'm a YouTuber.
Actually, you have a tutorial series on how to make an online shooter. Is that correct?
I do, so that people can pretty much steal Under Pressure and make it better than me.
Awesome, because I think a lot of people are interested in exactly that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in making an online shooter, I think Welton has like a 20-part tutorial series on that already. If you want to skip forward to a specific topic, check out the timestamps in the description. The first question is, how the hell do you even make an online multiplayer game?
The plugin I use is Photon.
Okay.
I use Unity networking.
Always thought Photon and Unity networking are 2 different things.
They are. Photon Unity networking is one word though. And so it goes by the acronym PUN. There's also UNet, which is Unity networking. Okay,
so if you want to make a multiplayer game with Unity, there are basically those 2 options, right? Photon and then the Unity option that is called UNet or something like that.
Yes, but UNet is being deprecated. I think it might have already been deprecated, but if not, it's being deprecated within the next 6 months. So if you have already started using it, that's fine. But if you are planning on making one, do not use UNet.
Okay, but
there are other avenues. I just chose Photon.
But Unity is still working on a networking solution, right? They have something in the making for that as well.
Correct. They have something in the making, but it's not out.
Okay, so Photon seems to be a good choice for now.
Yes, I believe so.
How does that work, making a multiplayer game with Unity? Do you host the game on a server, like all of the machines communicating with the server, or where the match is hosted, for example?
Okay, so I use PUN, Photon Unity Networking, and in PUN, it's client to client. So you have to come up with your own anti-hacks, and obviously developing your own anti-hacks without an authoritative system, it's always going to be hackable. So you just have to be, if someone tries hard enough, they can hack. However, I hear Photon has an authoritative version just called Photon Authoritative, I guess, which is where you can actually rent servers directly so that there is no client to client.
Okay, I see.
And if the game gets big enough, then I'm definitely going to move to an authoritative dynamic.
Is it, can you just move to an authoritative network?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Requires a lot of reworking, right?
I'm gonna cross that bridge when I get there. So the general feeling of making a multiplayer game is have you ever felt like beating yourself on your desk, like just like slamming your face onto your desk? It feels like that pretty much the entire time you're working on it.
What are the biggest challenges working on a multiplayer game in Unity?
I think this is a really good question.
Yeah.
I've actually been talking to a lot of people about making multiplayer games and like giving them advice. And one of the hardest things is I get a lot of people who haven't made games before and are new to programming coming and asking me for help. And it's just really complicated. Like that, like really the biggest thing is it's just really complicated to understand.
Okay.
You need to understand, because you also not only do you have to make it, like you have to program it, and it's hard to wrap your head around just how it works. You also have to make it efficient. So like if you don't really understand the different data structures and how much space they occupy, and you don't understand how to break up data into how to make like for example, like you can't send a vector3 over a network, and you don't want to send floats over a network either. So what I do is I so I multiply a float by 100 or 1,000, depending on how precise I want it to be. Then I round it to an integer or a short, and I send that value over. And then I get it and I divide it by 100 or 1,000. Oh, and so it's like you need to come up with like solutions.
Why do you not want to send a float via the
they're just bigger. So like, for example, there are packages that I send that have like all of a player's information,
okay.
So like, it's just like you just want it to be as quick. You want these messages to get over as quick as possible. You definitely could send floats. You could send vector threes.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But when you're sending so many, it's at that point that you're like, you gotta. I feel like you just gotta be smart about it.
Okay, you're trying to keep the data you're sending back and forth small. So that's one challenge. Formatting all of that data, and like is sending data back and forth, is that general process, is that difficult as well, or is it just a couple of buttons?
Photon makes that easy. The process of sending data back and forth is easy. You mentioned formatting data, a big thing. The next one is your understanding of how often to send messages and how to send the least amount of messages as possible. Because you don't want to. I've met people who are sending messages every frame, and that's like the absolute no. Like you don't want to do that. And I don't say that. I just tell them like, in the future, consider getting rid of that. And the reason why is because that creates bottleneck over the network and your game lags.
Okay, but if you're sending something like player position, isn't that something that you want to send every frame?
Yes, but you don't want to send it through a procedural call. You want to send it. You want to serialize it and stream it through. So Photon has like a serialization stream that they do automatically, so that it'll detect changes and it'll send the changes in the data over for you. So it tries to efficiently minimize things in the stream. So you have to know what you want to add to the stream. But a lot of people will procedurally call every frame. It's hard to. That's where things get complicated.
That's no problem. So basically, there are different ways to send data, and you need to figure out what's the best way to send the data you want to send.
That's the best way to. That is literally the best way to put it, because there are 3 ways to send and receive data, and I use all 3 of them, and you have to know how to use them and when to use them.
Okay, so they all have different advantages and disadvantages.
Yes.
So what are those 3 ways of sending data? One is that serialization stream.
Bingo.
Right? Yeah.
Then there's the RPC, or the remote procedural call. And then the last one is through event raising.
Event raising kind of sounds like you're calling an event on a different machine.
Yes.
Explain, please elaborate. What are those methods?
Yes. Okay, so the stream is what we were just talking about. Basically, anything that you're having coordinated over a network, it has a stream. You add data to that package, and then it automatically will make it efficient and try to minimize it and send it over. And then the stream will then get to a machine, and then you have to just read the values through. So you can send multiple values through. I mean, you can do that with all of them.
Okay.
The RPC is like calling a function. When you instantiate an object over the network, it creates that same object on every machine, right? And that object gets an ID.
It does that automatically, or do you need to handle that?
It does it automatically when you instantiate it over the network. So Photon has GameObject.instantiate. There's also Photon Network.instantiate.
Okay, cool.
Which does the same thing, but instead of it it does the same thing. It just creates it with a view with an ID for you, and it creates it on all machines.
Nice.
Right. Now the RPC, what it'll do is it's a function attached to an ID. So like if you have an RPC, if you have an object that's been created over the network, and you call an RPC on it, it calls that function on every single object on the network.
Okay, nice.
Now event raising is different. What you do is you basically just send a package that has a code in it. And then if you have any scripts that listen for those events, then they can see that a package was sent, and then they can see what code it was, and then you use that code to send the data to something. So like it's not attached to an ID. Anything can read from it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. That's where it gets complicated.
Sorry that took so long.
No problem.
That's the problem with explaining.
I'll just edit it all out. Probably sometimes data gets lost when sending it over the network, right? How do you handle that? Or does Photon take care of that as well?
So you'll tag a package as unreliable or reliable. I believe they have actual acronyms that you tag them as. And if you tag it as unreliable, then that means that it doesn't have that high of a priority and that that it can be lost. Like your stream is automatically unreliable because it's always being sent. And so in order to make it as efficient as possible, they try to make it like it's okay for it to be missed. Okay. Right. But then there are things that are reliable. So like RPCs, reliable. And that way, when they're sent, they should be guaranteed to be called. I've never had a problem with an RPC not being called. And the way that that's another like thing is like when we're talking about formatting data, when you're putting things in the stream, it's typically things that like if a package is missed, like position, right? If a package is missed, that's okay because you're able to guess and estimate where the player is already.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
It's not that big of a deal, but if you, for example, miss an object being deleted or something like that, that could be a bit annoying. Yeah.
Exactly.
But, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you can tell Photon this data is important, this needs to arrive, or this is not as important. It's okay to miss that, and that probably has an impact on performance and how quickly things are sent. So coming with upsides and downsides, and you just have to pick the correct method to send stuff. The next thing I wanted to talk about is a little bit of how you handle the community management, because I think that's really cool. The water bottle! One of the biggest issues when working on an online game is, of course, that if your community is not big enough, it's very hard to find matches. So that's why I personally would always shy away from making competitive online multiplayer games.
So typically, here's the narrative that I am facing, is that I'm getting new players who are buying the game, coming into the game, going straight to casual, trying to find a match, not finding a match, quitting the game, and refunding the game.
For sure.
It's very hard to grow a community. So I've been kind of impressed by the way you go about it. You definitely managed to get some consistent matches up and running in your community. So perhaps you could explain your approach on that a little bit.
Yeah. So. That approach was a complete shot in the dark, and I'm glad it ended up working out very well. And you noticed it while we were playing, is that I have a direct link to the Discord. So I run a Discord, which is a chat application, a DM application, and I have a direct link to my game's server in the main menu, and I have messages in the game that tell people to check out the Discord if they are having trouble finding matches.
And then we're going to run it. And now what we're checking to see is if we go multiplayer casual and we open up a new lobby and we're waiting for people to join, if we're in that lobby for over 20 seconds, we want that Discord pop-up to show up. So let's clarify that it does. We went multiplayer, we went casual, we're in a lobby, we're currently searching for other players to get into the lobby with us, but of course the game has very little traffic, and there it is. The new pop-up. Not finding a match? Well, welcome to Discord.
And so that way people get funneled into the Discord automatically through the game. And because the game is so small, that's where I will schedule matches, and I have ways for people to turn on pings for competitive matches. And that's how I can actually get in touch with people directly if they really want to find matches to play frequently.
You seem to have a very active community on that Discord as well, like people who really enjoy playing the game and play it a lot. And play it a lot better than you.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah. Thankfully I do. Yeah, and I think you're exactly right on that. Is that that I've had many people come into the server and been like, I got the game like a couple minutes ago and I've been looking for a match but I couldn't find one. And like people literally jump instantly and say, join the competitive role. We play matches every weekend, and then they stay. Which not to say that happens with everyone who buys the game, opens it, but it's definitely retained a lot of people. Like there are a lot of people in there now who I remember coming in and like thinking no one played it and that it was dead, which there aren't that many people playing it, that's for sure. But I think because of the way that I have it designed, it can grow.
Maybe I should give this a little bit of context. What makes Under Pressure special is that it's a capture the flag game where everybody has just a gun and a sniper rifle. I definitely feel like there were some pretty clever design decisions made in this game. For example, your respawn time increases every time you die. The game has an awesome movement system that allows you to fly upwards to all kinds of crazy places. You can place teleporters, and every now and then pretty powerful power-ups spawn in the center of the map. And all of that combined just makes for a pretty interesting game system that offers a lot of depth. It's a very tactical and a very sniper-heavy game, so if you're into that,
definitely make sure to check out Under Pressure.
What are your plans for growing that community, for maintaining that community? Do you have any plans for that?
So the way I plan on growing it is I'm in the process of making a new trailer. And then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a Steam visibility round on the game coming up this weekend. And once I hit this new kind of wave to market that where Steam will market for me again, I also am going to be tackling Twitch and Reddit to give out a ton of free keys to just bring CS. I'm targeting CSGO players, RS6 players, and I'm gonna probably look into like getting Black Ops for pretty much Call of Duty players as well. But pretty much right now, my biggest the people who play my game the most are CSGO players. So I plan on going on to Twitch and Reddit, specifically targeting the CSGO audience mainly, and dropping tons of keys for streamers and people who just enjoy CSGO in that community, and see if I can get siphon a couple of them over to join and play, because they have the skills already needed to have fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a decent strategy. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And then in terms of managing, I have no idea.
You'll just see where it goes. Okay.
Exactly. I want to like have people who've been in the community since like really early on. I'm gonna probably reach out to them and see if they'll be interested in like trying to mod for me and stuff.
Yeah.
Because right now they pretty much already do that for me, which is, I love them for that, you know, and it's awesome. And I really need to like give them more recognition for how much they've helped, you know. I think having that, like, if the game really does grow and become something, you know, and I owe them a lot for that. I would love to have them be like part of like a moderator team or something.
Yeah. That makes sense. A big part of the community as well is that they're very closely involved in the development, right? They're constantly giving you feedback and seeing their ideas implemented into the game. I feel like that has a very big impact as well.
Yes, for sure. And I also, I'm going to give tips for people who want to be a part of a community and people who want to make their own game like this and maybe consider doing a route like this.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's very important because one, I get lots of great ideas. Like playing with you today, got great ideas. Playing with the people I've been playing with since the game has come out, I get so many ideas that, like having the markers that that show, protect, and defend, that actually came from ideas I got from people. The ray casting, some of the game really does get improved by that. But what I like to also say for people who are considering making a game and taking this route is you don't take every idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid to tell someone, like, I'm not doing that. Like, I've done it so many, and sometimes like I'll get it so many times. I'll say, I'm not doing that. And then like 2 weeks later, I'll be like, I'm doing that. That's actually a good idea. But like, don't be afraid. Make sure that you establish it early on, because like,
you can't put any idea in there.
Exactly.
A good approach for going about is probably just putting stuff in there when you hear it a lot. For example, in Islanders, the sandbox mode at the beginning was something where we said, no, we don't really want to do that. But then we've heard that much that, okay, we'll do a sandbox mode, fine.
Right.
And then,
it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild because like, you have a vision for your game, right? And then you get an idea like that, and you don't see it, but then like you get it so much, and like and then you do it, and you're like, you know what? That was
a good idea. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, wow, thank you.
You only had to tell me 20 times.
I feel that completely.
Is this the first time you'll try yourself at some more serious marketing attempts, or?
Yes, I've actually never, ever done anything. The only marketing I've ever done is Steam's basic. Like, it's not even real marketing. It's just filling out Steam's page in the trailer. Yeah. Okay. So like, this will be my first like real attempt at like actually like, I'm gonna read. I like to read a lot of articles. So like, I'm going to start reading articles specifically on marketing and target audience and how to bring people in and retain them. I am going to start tackling, like I was telling you, Twitch and Reddit. And it's actually going to be my first like actual like plan and strategy. So I'm hoping it works slightly.
Awesome. You're still studying at the same time, right? So how do you do your time management? You've told me earlier that you're starting to burn out on the project a bit.
Yes.
Like, how do you handle the time management and the development time on this project so far?
You know, I'm gonna tell you something very ironic, right? I find this really weird, but it's interesting. So, I've been working on this probably 50 plus hours on average since it came out at the beginning of the summer, right?
50 hours a week, or what do you mean?
Yes, 50 hours a week on average.
Geez.
Yes, and then just last week, I really slowed down because I was I'm getting into a funk lately. And on top of that, it's starting to represent more of the time I spend when I am in school. So like when I'm in school, I'm doing on average maybe about 16 to 20 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
But this is telling towards networking and how online stuff works and how difficult it is. So pretty much since the game came out in summer up until last week, I'd been working on solely networking problems, right? And a big big complaint in my community was that it doesn't look like I'm getting a lot of things done, right? And I don't want to boast, but I consider myself a pretty good game developer and programmer, right? But networking is a very hard beast to tackle, especially alone. And so this whole time I've been doing 50 plus hours, not really seeing any changes, even though there are changes.
Okay, so you made a lot of under the hood changes to how the networking works. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And then last week I added a new map. And then last week I said, you know what? I did a poll and I said, do you guys want me to keep working on networking stuff or do you guys want me to work on more cosmetic stuff? Right? Cosmetic stuff won barely, right? So then last week I add in a new map. I add in gadget raycasting. I started taking on the list that I have of people's ideas that are more cosmetic. And I tackle those. And in that week I spent maybe 16 hours in the game total. And my community believes it is my biggest update and the most I've ever done for the game.
That's really funny.
It's the least I've done. You know, I'm like, that's awesome. But at the same time, at the same time, it kind of sucks because it's like networking is hard, and I don't think people understand how hard it is. To answer your actual question, was how am I going to manage it when I'm back in school and when classes start up? I typically be doing about 16 to 20 hours a week when school's going. At my worst, I'm probably doing about 8 hours. But seeing as how if I'm doing pretty much as long as I'm doing cosmetic stuff like adding new costumes, adding in new maps, fixing bugs, I'll be completely fine. It's as long as I'm maintaining and slightly improving and like what you see. But like, and I'll probably save like networking stuff and like the bigger issues for the weekend. And I'll probably, I'll take on like 8 hours at a time, stuff like that. But pretty much I'm fine. I can do a lot in a short amount of time as long as it's not networking.
But you also have a YouTube channel at the same time. So
I do.
You have to fit that into your schedule as well.
Right.
That sounds like a lot, man. Working on a game, working on a YouTube channel. Do you have any spare time? Or is working on the game your spare time?
Working on a game is my spare time. Other than that, I'll hang out with friends. But really, I don't really do anything else. You know, I don't like my main hobby is working on the game. I write poetry every now and then, but that's pretty much it. When I'm older, I'll have more spare time, but hopefully not when I'm too old.
Yeah, it's also a question of how you define spare time, I guess.
Time that I can just sit and watch anime. Eat candy, not care about anything.
I mean, in theory, you could just do that, right? So,
right.
You're just deciding not to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I like
tough
candy.
Decision too.
Yeah, but so you're motivated to keep working on the game, basically.
Yeah. Right now. I'm in a very rough spot, but I think I'm gonna get out of it.
Yeah. You always have your ups and downs in game development. That's how it always is. Yeah, sure.
Amen.
Welton is sitting at 960 subscribers at the moment, so what I want you to do is to head over to his channel and freaking break the subscribe button. You can check out the other video I made with him while you're there.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.